Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Women Like Me Stories in Business. I'm your host, Julie Fairhurst, and today, well, I have to tell you that I do know this lady personally, and you are going to love her. But I also have to say that I really had to nail her down for this interview. She's just she's a busy lady and she's wanted everywhere. So we finally got her. We've got her here for a good half an hour, 45 minutes, and we'll see what wonderful things she's going to be able to share with us. So I'm going to start by giving you a little bit of information about Tina. Oh, Tina, I hope I get your names right.
Hi,
It's Berber.
Bieber.
Bieber. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Bieber. Thank you. Okay, here we go. Okay. So today, we're going to be talking about a conversation that often gets locked behind shame, silence, and discomfort, and that's women's sexual health. So our guest, Tina Berber, has is compassionate and courageous. She's the voice behind Tina's Treasures. Now, Tina's mission is to help women embrace their sensuality, navigate the complexities of sexual well-being, and reclaim their power, especially during transformative stages like perimenopause and menopause. So Tina has created a safe place for women to get educated, to talk about intimacy tools, and to have open-hearted guidance about sexual wellness and understanding that it's not a luxury, it's essential. So, Tina, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Tina, do you want to tell our audience a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. So I am pretty much a low-key person and a little bit of an introvert. Um, I spend a lot of time on my own, actually. But the wellness side of things are very, very important. And I went through a journey with my menopause, which was quite difficult. Um, and it took a number of years to figure out exactly what I need to do to stay healthy, and I want to age healthy. And so it's very important to me to um, put myself in check, be honest about how I'm feeling, and seek out natural health ways so that I age gracefully. I went through a stage with a previous partner where I had absolutely no libido at all whatsoever,
Mm.
um, which really took a toll on our relationship. And it took a toll on my own confidence. It took a toll on how I carried myself.
Mm.
Um, I find sexual health for women is can be quite an emotional thing, which then that vibe goes through our whole being. And back in the day, I went to a pure romance party. And at that party, I was so intrigued at what what was possible for me as a woman with what this presenter was saying that I decided to sign up as a consultant myself. Um, and that journey changed my life, literally. So that's where I started with this learning about women's sexual health. I then also studied to be a menopause coach, which I found is part and parcel with women's sexual health as well, because many of
Yeah,
us lose our libidos.
yeah.
We have issues with vaginal dryness. We have issues with not being able to climax, which again hits that confidence
Yeah,
that, um, everything, that whole aura about us
yeah.
is affected.
And definitely not great for relationships.
No, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had clients tell me that due to certain things that they've experienced, their partner is now starting to kind of heckle them in certain ways. Like
Mm.
just that
Yeah.
rubbing them the wrong way. And,
Yeah.
they're starting to feel it. And so they're not feeling great about the relationship. And it put that strife in. Well, that affects the children, that affects the like it all plays down the
Yeah.
line of how people feel about themselves and each other.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, why do you think sexual health is such a taboo topic for women?
That's a tough one. And I struggle with that even to this day because with my little business, in order for me to make a difference, for me, I like to be in a group of women, empowering them and
Yes.
talking about that topic. And I find when I have the opportunity to do that, then it happens. There's
Okay.
something there about the word sex where people just don't open up. I don't know if that's grandfathered from before, where sex was taboo in the olden days. You don't
Mm-hmm.
talk about it.
Right.
You know, a lot of families, it's just not a topic that there's comfort. There isn't even comfort with a lot of parents talking about certain body parts with their children. What do they
You,
call it?
oh my goodness, you're
Like,
so
you
right.
know,
Instead of calling it a penis, we're calling it a wee-wee.
so just
Oh,
making it
yeah.
real. And it just kind of is the thing. And then when things are
Mm.
said, for instance, and this is a little off topic, when you go
Yeah.
into school and you're maybe volunteering with the kids and stuff, and somebody does say something with a body part, ooh, the reaction. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
um it's a tough thing to break barriers
Yeah.
and to make people comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of traveling, but I haven't done a lot of traveling talking about sex. So,
No,
so
no.
but my thought process is, and I could be wrong, that some of those European co countries are a little more open, but
They
we
seem
over
to be.
here in North America, for whatever reason, we're quite tight about those
Mhm,
conversations. And
mhm,
I remember years ago, I was 28 years old, and I wanted to mention this. I was thinking about it when we were getting when I was getting ready for the podcast. And I was 28 years old, and I was working in a government office, almost all women. And
mm,
this woman, I remember she was like, she started talking about how her husband didn't care about her sexual well-being. And so he would do his thing, and then she would go into the bathroom and finish doing her thing. And I
yeah,
remember thinking, oh my goodness, I can't believe she's talking to me about this. I'm sure
yeah,
I was a deer in the headlights, like, why are you even having this conversation with me? Which well, and so now, as you know, I'm much more of an adult now, and I'm a little more worldly. But now I think back and I go, well, why wouldn't she have that conversation?
yeah, yeah, very much so. And that is a common thing too,
Yeah.
keeping things under wraps or private. Um, and even a lot of couples, and this is something that I love to make a difference in a person's life, is empowering couples to be able to be communicating with them, pardon me, with each other, and having that confidence to go, hey, honey, this is what feels good for me.
Hmm.
Having the confidence to go, hey, not even knowing if maybe that partner would enjoy something like that. But there's
Right.
just such a stigma against it that it holds people back for some
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
There's a little statistic that is said those that explore BDSM, there is a higher rate of successful relationships if they are doing that sort of play than hetero or normal sex
Yes.
relationships,
Oh.
because they communicate. They have safe words.
Ah.
They tell each other what they like or
Yeah.
don't like.
Yeah.
They know what the boundaries are.
Yeah.
That's all communication.
You're so right. You're so
That's all,
absolutely
yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's all, communication within a couple about something that's very important to keep that spark alive.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, what do you think happens then? So why it does normal changes to menopause impact women's sexuality and the emotional condition to her body? What do you think is happening there that's causing
Yeah. I mean, the depletion of our estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone changes in our body that makes up a lot of what we go through. From many health issues to lowering libido, to again, creating some depression for us, which
mm,
affects how we feel about ourselves, which will stop us from going and getting that negligee and making ourselves, standing in front of the door when the hubby comes home. Hey, baby, here I am. It just changes our whole aura of how we feel, especially when you're not
mm,
feeling your best.
yeah.
And so, I mean, hormones is a huge topic all in itself. Um, but with the depletion of our estrogen, progesterone, that makes a big difference. It makes a big difference in the libido, how we feel. Um, and then um, our woohoo down there.
Yes, there you
you
go.
know,
Yeah.
the vaginal dryness.
Yes.
Some women, they experience the prolapse.
Oh.
If we don't keep our Kegels up and keep things healthy, I mean, that pelvic floor muscle really is the foundation of our whole body. And so it's very important to keep that healthy. And if that's not healthy either and strong,
Yeah.
who wants to have sex?
Right. Got you. Got you. What do you think some of the myths are, misconceptions are about women and aging and libido and that kind of
I
thing?
mean, back in the day, they said that once a woman cannot but no longer bear children, they should be discarded. There's a big,
Ah.
yeah, there's like 19,
Ooh.
30, 40 something, men's view of women just changed.
Yes.
Um, and so they're not there to bear children for us anymore. What good are they? Some, eh,
Ah.
there was the witching hour of, oh, you know, they're now witches because they're unable to bear children.
Mm.
But so there's a lot there that again, emotionally in people's heads, or what they have in their head as to what our worth is. i mean that
Yes.
I mean, that's old school.
No, it's old school. No,
That's
no,
old
it
school.
is
But we
absolutely old
still have
school.
some religions in society that are old school,
Yes.
so
Well, and
um
I think also, Tina, that we as women have not some of those types of thoughts from the past, but we still are worried. We think, oh, I'm too old now. Now my husband's
yeah.
gonna, go and get somebody younger, or I can't do this, or I've lost this, or that weight around the belly has come. And we start to I don't know exactly how to explain it, but I guess our confidence goes in the toilet.
100%. Yeah.
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 And it shouldn't, because in my opinion, it's a whole new beautiful stage of life for us.
100%.
And
Exactly.
it should be this beautiful future that we look to.
And it's a wonderful phase. It's a wonderful phase. Frankly, no more periods. Woohoo. Like, what if we
Yay.
go, what do we have to put up with every single month? And
Yes.
sometimes, I mean, that's not pretty for a lot of women. They
No,
experience a
no.
lot of pain.
Yes.
They have cramping and leakage, and the in our beds, and like,
Yes.
So that's a celebration in itself as far as I'm concerned. And with a holistic lifestyle, the aging of menopause and beyond
Yeah.
is, I find it very exciting. But
You
we have
know,
to take care of ourselves. We
yes.
have to take care of ourselves and
Yes.
be aware of what we're putting into our body,
Yes.
how we're treating it, and ensuring that, and this goes to the fact of women need a lot of protein and fiber every day,
Right.
taking care to ensure that this phase is as wonderful as it definitely can be.
Yeah. Years, and I don't know, remember how many years ago, but years ago, I remember reading this article that I thought was really beautiful. And it was about a family and their daughter um, she started to menstruate. And the mother and father brought her flowers and
Mm,
told her how beautiful it was that she was entering into this new, and just made it sound like it was like a rite of passage, really. Well,
yeah,
why can't we start taking flowers
yeah,
to women who have, okay, if you haven't had your period for a year, let me know because I'm sending you flowers.
totally.
We need to start celebrating
Yeah,
ourselves.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
So, what do you think there's some practical ways that we can start to rekindle our relationships around sex? Because it's an important part of our lives.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Frankly, that one pure romance party that I went to, um, the sex tools, I will call it, the
Yes.
sex toys that enhance relationships and that can help your partner. And it's not just us women that go through issues, men do as well with
Right.
erectile dysfunction. And maybe they can't have an erection or keep an erection as long. There are tools there that can assist with enhancing those practices, if we want to call it that.
Yeah.
Um, and there's also enhancements there where we have creams and gels that we can put on, for instance, our clitoris to get that feeling back, to get that arousal feeling, to feel the plumping and the throbbing that helps with climax,
Hmm.
for either the man or the woman.
Yes.
So there's tools there that can kick it up a notch
Yes.
and make it fun. Planning sexy nights, getting people or getting each other in the mood. And even if not, if you're single, for yourself.
Right.
Um, there's um, ways of communicating to put that spark back into a relationship or just for yourself.
Well,
Climaxing is
I
very
remember you
important.
sorry to interrupt. I remember you
Yeah,
saying it when I heard you speak in public, and I remember you saying if you don't use it, you lose it.
that's right. Definitely. And that's for many women, once they don't have a libido, it's gone. And if it's not top of mind in a health of practice, then what do you need it for?
Right.
Um, Climaxing
Right.
is very important for a women's health, for their
Yeah.
confidence. Um, Climaxing is important for, it's like doing Kegels. There's that
Hmm.
contraction of the muscles, which
Yeah.
keeps one healthy, and keeps the confidence up.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. So, well, so when I'm going to just talk about those creams and stuff. So, what do you because I think that a lot of the stuff that they go out and they buy in the stores necessarily aren't natural
Yeah.
products.
Um, Natural, or perhaps I'd like to say pH balanced.
Oh, yes.
We
Yeah.
want to make sure that if we are putting something around our clitoris or in the vagina for a G spot um, climax, that there aren't any sugars in the product. So it's important to know what you are buying, because with sugars, we're susceptible to yeast infections and UTIs
Right.
and bladder infections and all those
Yes.
sorts of things. So
Yes.
it's important to know what the product is that you're using and what the ingredients are to ensure that you're not going to have um, side effects from
Right.
that.
Right. And
Yeah,
so what would be so what kind of products like are you offering to people?
So I
Because I
do
know
have
that
a yeah, I do have a gel and a cream, as well as a cream that goes inside the vagina for the G spot stimulation. And what it does is it just takes all the blood and it rushes it to that area, and you get that plumping, warming, or cooling sensation, depending what you prefer. Everybody is a little bit different.
yeah.
And it just gives you that sends signals to your brain that there's an arousal feeling there.
Yeah. Yeah. I know we're going to have all of the details for Tina in the YouTube video as well as in the podcast. So if anybody wants to reach out to her, they can certainly go ahead and do that. But I'm just curious. So if somebody reaches out to you, and they want to get some product, like
Oh,
how
for
would that
sure.
work? Do you do a consultation or do they just order off of your website and you mail it to them?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah, definitely. So tinastreasures.ca, I have a website with a bunch of the products that are listed there. I'm happy to do a one-on-one consultation. They're welcome to come here. I have a little office where I have things on display, or I can do a party, an event at their home with their
Right.
friends, where they
Right.
can, have appies and a glass of wine, and I do bring my toolkit with me
Yeah.
and do a presentation, and they can touch and feel the products before they purchase them. I'm also open to sourcing. I have a local supplier who's in Burnaby, and they have over 4,000 products that I can select from.
Wow.
Yeah, they've got a great, it's a great distributor. So everything's local. I can get things within 3 days tops. They're pretty much overnight shipping.
Yeah.
Or if you order right off my website, you can get
Yeah.
it within a day or so. Yeah.
And so what happens if they're on, say, they're in Alberta or Vancouver Island? How can they still
Yeah,
purchase off
so
your
actually
website?
it was pretty exciting. My very first client, no idea who she was, ordered from Saskatchewan.
Isn't that
So yeah,
something?
they ship
Love
all
it.
over. Yeah.
Oh,
We have a
beautiful.
drop ship app, and she received the product within 3 days. So
Wow,
yeah,
that's great to know. Great to know.
yeah.
So if somebody wants to be a little more discreet, they're not comfortable maybe
Oh, for sure.
speaking or having a one-on-one with you, they can still go to your website and order the product and have them delivered.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
rather than standing in that aisle in the grocery store.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Or
you
or
don't have to leave your home at all whatsoever. And I
yes.
can come to you if you wanted to sit down and have a conversation.
Yes. Yeah.
We could go for a coffee. We could
Or
go for a
Zoom, I guess.
walk.
You can Zoom with someone if someone needed to,
Totally.
if they're
Yeah.
not local. No,
Yeah.
that's fabulous because I think that I think that's part of it. If we're walking around and we don't want to talk about it and we're feeling shameful or however we're feeling, and then like where do you buy those products from?
Oh,
Maybe you're not
exactly.
comfortable going
Yeah.
into the sexy store, but
Yeah. Oh,
or even the
definitely.
grocery store, where everybody's out shopping and walking past you. That's a nice your website's a nice private option.
Yeah, and it's um, the products that I select, I I'm very careful at what I pick. They're high quality,
Yeah.
very reliable items. And yeah, rather than going into a store, and I've been to stores myself.
Yeah.
Um, not that I'm going to knock it at
No,
all.
of
I
course
mean, it
not.
is an option and it could be a
Yeah.
fun thing to do with a partner on a date night.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Um, but just having that one-on-one conversation without anybody around, it's within
Yes.
strictest confidence with me.
Yes.
And everybody has their own journey, and everybody's journey is different. And
Absolutely.
I'm there to support and
Yes.
ensure that there's a feel good within your heart when you're making a decision, because I
Yeah.
think that's very important.
Yeah. I heard something years ago and I believe it. And what it was is women need to feel loved
Definitely.
to
Yeah.
have sex,
Yeah.
but men feel love when they have sex.
Hmm.
So if
Hmm.
we're not having sex with our partners and our partners aren't helping us to feel loved, we've got a real problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my clients, her husband and high school sweethearts, they got married right at 19, 20 years old. They had three kids. Um, she bought her first little bullet vibrator from me back in the day. And she said to me, I have to tell you, Tina, I don't think I've ever really actually had an orgasm.
Mm.
A lot of women, she was a little bit older, didn't realize that most women can't climax from the missionary position.
Yes.
Most women are clitoral, climax from clitoral stimulation alone and have never had a vaginal orgasm.
Mm.
That being able to make a difference in her life is so empowering for me and changed her relationship as she's aging with her husband, who, she was in her 60s then.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's so empowering to be able to know that woman now is going home, you
Yes.
know, and they've got another spark happening as they age.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How exciting is
And
that?
yeah, for sure, Tina. And I think that's the key, right? It's like if we're feeling like, okay, the spark is not there, we're feeling some distance in our relationship, what are we going to do? Just one conversation is like, when's the last time you brought me flowers? Not in a
Yeah,
blame way, but just
yeah,
understanding, like, we get into those ruts. And I think that if women understand how they need to be to have sex with their husbands and to understand that their husbands need to feel a certain way as well, but
yeah,
but we as women just assume they know.
yeah, yeah.
And so everybody's walking around thinking, oh, well, he knows, I'm sure he knows, da, 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 da. Well, he probably doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
He
Yeah,
doesn't know.
exactly.
Help a guy out.
Well, and have that confidence to show him, hey,
Yes.
this is what feels good for me. He
Yes.
may think it's something completely entirely different.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. My husband has quite longevity for his family, and I remember going over to see his grandparents, and his grandmother and grandfather had gone into a retirement community, and so they each had their own bedrooms. And so she said, I don't even remember what we were talking about. She's like 94, I think he's 96, and she said, at night he comes and he cuddles with me, lays down with me, and he gets a kiss, but that's all he's getting.
Oh, well, and that's the thing. A
Yeah.
lot of couples, because one snores or the
Yeah.
other grinds their teeth,
Yeah.
they're sleeping in separate bedrooms.
Yes.
And I think rest is very important for us.
Yes. Oh, for sure.
Along with menopause, a lot of women don't sleep. They're up every morning at
Yes.
3 a.m. awake.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
so I can't say that I disagree with separate beds,
Yeah.
but you've got to make that time. You have to
Yes.
make that time to connect,
Yes.
to be
Yeah.
one with each other,
Yeah, for sure.
and just to keep that. And, just like any relationship, it's a little bit of work, it's a little
Yeah.
bit of planning.
Yes. Yeah.
being spontaneous can also be fun. And
Yes.
adding a little toy, we've got um, the panty vibrators where you can be wearing a panty vibrator with a remote control, go out to a lounge or dinner, and your partner can start it up. How exciting would that be?
Oh, that would bring me back to
Like,
that movie. I can't remember what it's called, where she was showing what it was like to have an orgasm, and she was in a
yeah,
restaurant. Yeah,
Mary Met
Meg
Sally or
Ryan.
something like
Yeah.
that, right? Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
there's
fun though.
so much there. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
so much there that can just enhance a relationship.
Yeah.
But I still want to say even a relationship with yourself is important. I've been single for a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's just very important to stay connected with yourself
Yes.
and
Yes.
your body and your
Yes.
all around being,
Yes.
as far as yeah, yourself is concerned for
Yes.
sure.
Well, Tina, I have just I thank you for coming on
Thank
because
you for
I
having
just,
me.
oh, no, you're welcome. Because, I think what you're doing is so important because it affects marriages. It
Yeah,
affects us
yeah,
on our own. Like there's so
totally.
many, sometimes people don't get the seriousness of sexual health.
Mhm.
And so I really thank you for that. Now, before we go, I have 6 questions that I like
Oh,
to
geez.
ask my, no, they're easy, that I like to ask my podcast
Okay.
guests to get to know you so people can know you a little bit better. So can we
Okay.
run through these before we close?
Okay.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
Okay, here we go. So if you could travel, Tina, anywhere in the world tomorrow, where are you going to go and why are you going to go there?
You know what show I'm watching right now on Crave is The White Lotus. It's in
Oh,
Sicily.
oh,
And I've always been, my travels take me mostly to the Caribbean. I crave the Caribbean, that water, the beaches.
yeah,
But this show is very intriguing for me. Sicily just looks very cool. It looks very romantic and um the water. I had no idea.
yeah.
So yeah, I think I would
Beautiful.
right now jump on the plane. I'd head to Sicily.
Oh, beautiful. I would love to go there.
Okay,
Okay.
let's
What is your favorite way to unwind? And I know you're a very busy lady. So, what is your favorite way to unwind after you
yeah.
have a busy day?
You know what? Um, Honestly, I like to hit the couch under cats. I have 2 cats, and I just like to grab my peppermint tea with honey with my cats and just exist and be.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Sometimes we just need to let our mind go blank.
Yeah,
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 shut down.
reset. What about an emotional, I'm sorry, what about a favorite motivational quote? Do you have one that you use daily, or do you have one that's a
Um,
favorite?
I can't necessarily say that. Okay, so it's not from necessarily a famous person,
Okay.
but somebody said to me one day, it is that way because you make it that way.
Ah, love it. Oh my goodness, that is such a good one.
And
Such a
that
good one.
really stuck with me. And
Yeah,
so when I get down in the dumps or something's not going right or something's not going, I kind of put it in check and go, why is that? It is that way because I'm making it that way. And so let's
yeah.
change that focus.
Beautiful. I love that one. That's I have had a lot of guests on and I asked that question, but this one's in the top 10 for me. That was a good one.
Thank
Yeah. Okay, what about your a favorite book? I don't know if you do much reading, but is
Oh,
there
I
yeah,
don't read.
you don't
Yeah,
read?
no.
Okay.
Actually, the Julie Fairhurst story,
Oh.
that poster that is sitting behind you,
Yes.
literally, Julie, I don't read, but
Yeah.
since meeting you, I've read 3 of your books
Oh,
um, because
wonderful.
because they're easy reading. I have this issue with retaining things when I'm
Mm,
reading, and so books for me I find hard.
yeah.
And not that all of your stories are light, because people have had some really tough journeys,
Yes.
but your books are the ones that I've read recently.
Oh, well, thank you,
Yeah.
Tina. Thank you for saying that.
And that wasn't scripted.
No, it wasn't scripted. No, it wasn't. No, I appreciate knowing
That's
that.
truth.
Ah, okay, now let's talk about food, dinner. So, if you could have dinner with any woman in history,
Um,
who would you want to have dinner with and why?
hmm. Wow. That's a tough question for me.
Yeah.
You know what? Uh, I think Mother Teresa comes to mind.
Oh, wouldn't
I
that be a
think that
conversation?
woman's wisdom would have been quite an experience to sit down and discuss life with.
Yes, yes, absolutely. That would be a conversation.
Yeah,
Yes, for
yeah.
sure. So, our last question. If you could whisper one truth into the ear of every woman who's struggling right now, what would you say to them?
Mm. With the right tools, you can make a difference for yourself.
Ah, yes, love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, thank you, Tina. Thank you so much for doing this. It has been a pleasure talking to you, and I know that you're going to help others. Absolutely. So for you listening or watching this on YouTube, I just want to let you know that Tina's information is going to be in the details section. And ladies, if you're nervous about going into a store, if you're nervous about standing in that grocery store looking at certain products that you're wondering about, you can do it at home. You can go on Tina's website and you can look there and you can buy discreetly. So don't be shy. And also, she's willing to have a conversation with you, or if you're local, she's happy to come out and educate and have some friends with your friends and family members as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's
Thank
been
you,
great.
Tina. So thank you so much.
Awesome.
And ladies, we will see you on another episode of Women Like Me next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.